This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
Nabil Sha'ath, member of the Fatah Central Committee, met with Hamas officials in the Gaza Strip. This was the first visit in a year by the Fatah senior official to the Gaza Strip. Sha'ath described his meeting with Hamas officials as positive, hoping that it will help move the national reconciliation process forward. He added that his trip to the Gaza Strip was a personal wish and that he had no official authorization to negotiate with Hamas. Our reporter Zuhair Sakala reports from Gaza.
The visit by Fatah Central Committee member Nabil Sha'ath to the Gaza Strip sends a strong message despite efforts to conceal the details of the meeting. Meanwhile, Palestinian factions in the Gaza Strip express mixed reactions, but they have one objective in mind, which is to resume the national reconciliation efforts.
Sha'ath's visit is important. We held meetings with him as soon as he arrived in Gaza. We believe that meetings like this will help break the ice between Hamas and Fatah. This will help move the efforts of reconciliation forward.
ولعل لقاء شعث الأهم هو ذاك الذي جمعه بحركة حماس ممثلة بالقياديين.
The most important meeting was the session held between Sha'ath and the Hamas delegation led by Khalil al-Hayya and Ayman Taha. Although the meeting was covered by the media, the delegations declined to make any comments at the end of the session.
لكنها على أي حال ليست جلسات تعارف.
We ask Hamas to sign the Egyptian document that we've worked hard on for the last 2 years. Once signed, we can move forward. Until this happens, we will continue to work towards national reconciliation in order to help end Palestinian internal hostility, alienation, and division.
It has been 2 years since the Palestinian division started. Since then, none of the proposed solutions have been able to end the stalemate between Palestinian rivals. Will the Sha'ath visit be able to set the stage for Palestinian national reconciliation? Hamas is poised to sign the Egyptian document that Fatah signed a long time ago.
Based on what we heard, Sha'ath's visit to the Gaza Strip comes in the context of resuming talks with Palestinian factions, including Hamas. However, it appears that there has been no change in positions, at least at the public level.
While Sha'ath's visit will likely not end Palestinian division, it will definitely help pave the way for national reconciliation. In addition, it will help pave the way for other Fatah leaders to visit Gaza, as long as they are welcomed by its officials and citizens who live through the agony of division, minute by minute. Zuhair Sakala, Dubai TV, Gaza.
ومن المؤتمر الأمني الإسرائيلي السنوي بهرزليا إسرائيل تبعث بمؤشرات إيجابية.
From the annual security conference in Herzliya, Israel signaled a positive message regarding the possibility of resuming peace talks with the Palestinians. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he has basis to hope in a realistic way that in the coming weeks Israel will resume the peace process with the Palestinians. In response, the Palestinians announced that they are ready to resume peace talks with Israel, provided that the latter halts its settlement campaign.
وللسلام الموعود وجه مغاير على الأرض ترسم ملامحه اليومية آلة الحرب الإسرائيلية واليوم لم يكن.
However, the call for peace doesn't support the facts on the ground. The Israeli armed forces carried out a series of raids, which included the arrests of 22 Palestinians in the West Bank cities of Qalqilia, Ramallah, Jenin, Bethlehem, and Hebron. The detainees were taken to Israeli interrogation centers for questioning.
المعتقلين إلى مراكز الاستجواب الإسرائيلية وإلى جانب ملف السلام مع الفلسطينيين.
Meanwhile, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's latest remarks echoed in the Syrian capital of Damascus. Netanyahu said that his government will welcome any mediation efforts to help revive peace talks with Syria without any preconditions. This new Israeli position comes 2 days after Israeli Defense Minister Ehud Barak issued a warning that his country will engage in an all-out war with Syria if the latter fails to reach a peace agreement with Israel.
تحذيرات إسرائيلية تلقفتها دمشق وسارعت للرد عليها.
In response, Syrian Foreign Minister Walid al-Muallim warned Tel Aviv of grave repercussions if Israel launches a war against his country.
وصفها بالوخيمة في حال شنت إسرائيل حربا ضد بلاده.
أقول ستكون شاملة.
If such a war comes, it will be widespread, even if it's waged against southern Lebanon or Syria.
ستكون شاملة.
Once a war is declared, I doubt that our generation will ever witness peace negotiations.
محادثات سلام. لا تختبروا أيها الإسرائيليون.
Israelis, do not test the power of Syria, since you know that the war will move into your cities.
In another development, the Israeli foreign minister said that if Palestinians do not resume negotiations with Israel immediately, the West Bank will be taken over by Hamas. Speaking at Bar Ilan University near Tel Aviv, he addressed the Palestinian president and prime minister by name, saying it is in their interest to resume negotiations as fast as possible. Lieberman, who also said that by resuming negotiations, nobody would be doing Israel a favor, drew strong reactions from both Palestinians and Israelis.
Palestinians, we want to resume negotiations. We don't need to be threatened or intimidated by Liebermans or anybody else. We know that we're not doing the Israelis a favor, but at the same time, the Israelis are not doing us a favor in resuming peace negotiations. Once the Israeli government commits to its obligations emanating from the first phase of the roadmap, stopping settlement activities including natural growth, resuming negotiations where we left them in December 2008, we will have negotiations immediately.
The Lieberman statement of this morning shocked me in a way. It was a very aggressive statement leading to a regional escalation, and this is a continuation to his national pride diplomacy that resulted also in the terrible incident with the Turkish ambassador. So I felt that I prefer to use from now on my national passport and not my diplomatic passport.
دكتور موسى، إلى أي حد يعني المقاومة الفلسطينية بتاريخها الطويل منذ
Dr. Musa Abu Marzouk, how was the Palestinian resistance affected by the assassination policy during its long 6-decade history?
على حركة المقاومة هذه العمليات.
لا، وحركات المقاومة أولا هذا الناس يذكرون ما بتم الاغتيالات التي تمت.
People differentiate between the assassinations that take place in Arab and European countries and those that take place within the occupied Palestinian territories. They consider them to be part of the struggle in defending the occupied territories.
على الأرض المحتلة، ولكنها أيضا هي محاولات اغتيال.
By the way, there have been 90 times more assassinations on Palestinian land than in Arab and European countries. Most of the true resistance leaders were assassinated on the ground. Palestinian leaders were killed by gunshots, airstrikes, and other methods. The confrontations between the resistance and the Israeli army have not caused the death of many resistance leaders or those who operate resistance cells inside the occupied territories. Rather, they were assassinated.
والذين يديرون شبكة من المقاومة في داخل الأرض المحتلة هؤلاء معظمهم كانوا يقتلوا اغتيالا.
Many great leaders were lost to assassinations. The other point, however, is that the martyrs die for the cause and a vision. If it was not for the blood of the martyrs, the resistance would not have continued and the resistance would not succeed.
الشهيد هو يقتل في سبيل منهج وفي سبيل رؤية.
Any political movement that does not utilize resistance tactics will not have blood to fuel it. Some rather depend on the pen, words, publications, and other things. But members of true resistance movements that want to confront the occupation must be willing to sacrifice their blood.
How
can the path of resistance continue without human sacrifice?
من استمرارية لهذا المنهج بدون تقديم التضحيات.
أنا ما قصدته يعني بالطبع بالنهاية المقاومة يعني ما
What I mean to say is that members of the resistance know that they will have to pay the price with their blood, and this is why they signed up for it. However, what I mean is, does targeting leaders affect the resistance movement in general, at the organizational, logistical, and strategic levels?
بحركة المقاومة الفلسطينية بتاريخها الطويل سواء يعني
Have the Palestinian resistance factions, which have a long history, been weakened and derailed from achieving their objectives because of the assassinations?
أو يعني أخرتها عن تحقيق الهدف؟
أنا أعتقد أنه هي حركة الشهداء في مسار الثورة وفي مسار المقاومة.
I think that the martyrdom of leaders of the resistance movements does not stop the growth, expansion, and influence of these factions. The leaders' willingness to die for the cause has always strengthened their movements, and I can give some clear examples.
هي حركة الأحياء اللي ممكن تؤخر أو تقدم، أما الشهداء فدائما كانوا يدفعوا في اتجاه تقدم الحركة، وأنا أقول لك أمثلة واضحة.
Hamas in the beginning was small, and it only lost a few of its leaders. But as the movement gave more martyrs, it grew. The martyrdom of the founder of the movement, Ahmed Yassin, may God have mercy on his soul, was a turning point.
تقدمت أكبر. الرمز الكبير لحركة المقاومة الشيخ أحمد ياسين رحمه الله. قارني بين الحركة قبل الشيخ أحمد وبعد الشيخ أحمد.
If we were to compare Hamas before and after his martyrdom, we will find that his blood has fueled the movement with a great deal of power and public support, and its membership grew significantly. Similarly, the Fatah movement. It only progressed and expanded after its willingness to enter the armed struggle and provide martyrs. If Fatah did not provide martyrs, it would not have progressed, not even one step.
ظل تدني درجات الحرارة وتعذر العثور على حلول رفيقة بالجيب وغياب الوعي بتدابير السلامة.
Amidst the cold winter and the lack of alternative heating methods, Jordanians are increasingly turning to gas heaters as a way to protect themselves against the long cold nights. In doing so, some have lost their lives after failing to follow safe operating procedures. In Jordan, 12 deaths related to the improper use of gas heaters were recorded in the past month. Our reporter from Jordan, Salwa Asawaka, sheds light on an issue linked to a number of economic, social, and climate-related factors.
What people need the most during the winter is warmth, and the best way to get it is through a gas heater, which has become a double-edged sword, heat on one side and death on the other. Heaters come in different shapes and sizes, including some that operate on gas, kerosene, diesel, or burning wood. In addition, some heaters use methane gas that is generated from animal manure, or even jift, which is a byproduct of olive oil pressing. Some produce harmful gases, such as carbon monoxide. Several Jordanians die of suffocation while sleeping after having left their heaters on overnight. In addition, several others get treated at local hospitals due to carbon monoxide-related illnesses.
Since the beginning of the year, we have dealt with nearly 40 cases related to inhalation and suffocation incidents. 7 people have died due to heater-related incidents. Most cases were a direct result of people's failure to follow safe operating procedures, which includes ventilation and turning heaters off before going to sleep.
Muhammad is a Jordanian woman who follows safe operating procedures when using gas heaters.
It's wrong to leave the heater on overnight. By leaving the heater on overnight, I would risk the lives of my children in my home. This would be a fatal mistake.
The cases of suffocation may affect families that operate heaters that use gas, kerosene, or wood as a source for fuel. However, the families whose homes are equipped with a central or special heating system are less likely to suffer from suffocation due to carbon monoxide inhalation. This scenario can be directly linked to the harsh economic conditions in Jordan, where some have no choice but to buy these types of heaters despite the risks involved. Those who follow the safe operating procedures when using gas heaters may escape harm this winter. However, the cold weather and the human need for warmth may inspire some to randomly use traditional portable heaters, which may lead to their suffocation or even their death.
The spokesman for the National Security Assistance Force, ISAF, Brigadier General Eric Tremblay, said that he does not see any contradiction in the way they are dealing with the Taliban.
The military officials' statements come amidst preparations to launch the largest NATO military operation since the war in Afghanistan began.
This operation comes after President Hamid Karzai called on the Taliban movement to give up its weapons and sit down at the negotiation table.
هلمند في شهر تموز يوليو العام الماضي.
Helmand was the battlefield for Operation Dagger in July 2009, which was the largest in the history of the American infantry since the Vietnam War and the first during the reign of President Obama. Regardless of how one chooses to describe it, the military operation was not ISAF's biggest victory in Afghanistan. Not much was achieved in Helmand, and therefore another military operation is underway and is being described as the largest since the war in Afghanistan began. The date set for this military operation to begin was not released for security reasons.
تاريخ بدايتها يبقى طي الكتمان.
The Afghan National Security Forces,
backed by the International Security Assistance Force, are preparing for a large attack in the middle of Helmand, intended to increase the isolation of the rebels and enable the Afghan government to govern and develop the country.
لا تحديد أيضا لأعداد القوات المشاركة في المعركة المقبلة ضد مسلحي طالبان.
In addition, the number of troops set to participate in the upcoming battle in southern Afghanistan was not disclosed. However, the participation of the Afghan forces will be larger than it was last summer. The Afghan government will provide about 1,000 police officers and 1,000 soldiers.
المهمة المنوطة بتلك القوات فهي استعادة السيطرة على المناطق التي تخضع لسلطة حركة طالبان.
Of course, there will be thousands of NATO soldiers. These forces are expected to regain control over areas that fell under Taliban control, which will enable development projects to be completed. Winning the hearts of the Afghan population remains a strategy to minimize the influence of the Taliban that's been growing since 2006. The military operation comes after the London Conference on Afghanistan, during which funds were raised to integrate the Taliban who are willing to give up their arms, and months before additional forces arrive in Afghanistan.
إرسال 30,000 جندي ووعدت باقي الدول في الناتو ب7,000.
Obama decided to send an additional 30,000 soldiers, and the remaining NATO countries promised 7,500 soldiers. Karzai and his allies do not see any contradiction in the simultaneous use of force and dialogue with the Taliban. Despite the multiple strategies, it does not seem that a solution to the Afghan dilemma is near. Images of the future battle in Helmand may seem all too familiar to many people.
Iran says the United States is trying to wage a psychological war against Tehran by deploying missiles in the Persian Gulf. Major General Hassan Firuzabadi, Chief of Staff of Iran's armed forces, says the U.S. Patriot missile batteries recently deployed in the region will be rendered ineffective by simple countermeasures. He has said the United States encourages Persian Gulf states to buy overpriced military hardware via stoking Iranophobia in the region. Washington has expanded its missile systems in and around the Persian Gulf to counter what it claims to be Iran's growing missile threat. The U.S. deployments include land-based Patriot missile installations in Kuwait, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain.
China has warned against threatening Iran with sanctions over its nuclear energy program. Chinese Foreign Minister Yang Jiechi says threats of sanctions will make it harder to find a diplomatic solution to Western disputes over Tehran's nuclear program. He says Beijing wants the continuation of direct talks between Tehran and the P5+1. He made the comment ahead of a meeting with French President Nicolas Sarkozy in Paris. Western countries are lobbying China to back tougher sanctions on Iran over its nuclear energy program. But China and Russia insist that dialogue is the best way to resolve the issue.
نجحت مجموعة من العلماء علماء الدين الموريتانيين الذين يقودون حوار.
A group of Muslim scholars who have been leading the dialogue with leaders of the Salafi and jihadist groups in Mauritanian prisons managed to achieve a breakthrough in their talks about having them repent for their al-Qaeda takfirist ideology. The government hopes that the Salafi prisoners will give up their attack on the government and Western interests in Mauritania.
The dialogue with the Mauritanian extremists ended. The Mauritanian president, Mohammed Ould Abdelaziz, considered to be an important Western ally for fighting al-Qaeda off the African coast, met with the Muslim scholars who have been leading the dialogue with leaders of Salafi and jihadist groups. He discussed with them the results of the dialogue and met with the Spanish ambassador in Nouakchott.
We have met with the president this morning and told him the results of the dialogue. We hope that it will have positive results on the situation in the country in general, as well as on the prison conditions of the people that were involved in the dialogue in particular.
The Muslim Scholars Committee made the breakthrough after it was reduced to only 3 members, who were believed to be the most respected by the extremist Salafi prisoners, led by al-Qaeda leader in Mauritania, Khadim Ould As-Samma. Members of this group include the killers of the French tourists. However, the group members in prison have expressed flexibility in their positions. It is believed that al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb wants them to be released in exchange for releasing the Spanish and Italian hostages.
The dialogue with the jihadist group recently launched by the Mauritanian government targets specific individuals. They are the leaders who have been involved in the terrorist operations in Mauritania.
Mauritanian authorities hope that the extremists would reconsider their extremist religious ideologies, publicly repent, and agree to stop fighting the government, citizens, and Western interests in Nouakchott. Can the ideological and religious dialogue achieve what the security measures could not achieve? The results of the dialogue with the Salafi leaders in prison will cool the situation between the government and al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, which may enable the government to save the lives of the Western hostages. However, getting rid of the extremist ideologies and al-Qaeda in Mauritania is far from being accomplished. Al-Kharib wal-Dajdoud, Al-Arabiya, Nouakchott.
French Minister of Immigration and National Identity, Eric Besson, denied citizenship to a foreigner who forces his French wife to wear the Islamic burqa veil. Meanwhile, the new anti-capitalist party, led by Olivier Besancenot, nominated a veiled Muslim woman to run in the upcoming regional elections set to take place in the middle of March.
قضية حظر النقاب في فرنسا التي يعتبرها البعض.
The case for banning the niqab in France, a country described by some as the secular capital of the world, continues to unfold. After a French parliamentary committee proposed a ban on wearing the burqa in public and in government institutions, the French Minister of Immigration and National Identity, Eric Besson, signed a bill denying citizenship to any foreigner who forces his wife to wear the burqa. As soon as the French minister signed the bill into law, immigration officials denied citizenship to a foreigner who forced his French wife to wear the burqa. The applicant's name was withheld by immigration officials. According to Minister Besson, it was discovered during the investigation that the man in question forced his wife to wear the burqa. The minister added that the man stripped his wife of the right to show her face in public, saying it opposes secular principles and gender equality.
وحرمها من العيش بوجه مكشوف بما يتنافى مع مبادئ العلمانية والمساواة بين الرجال والنساء.
Lawyers in Paris said that the French government has the right to deny citizenship to a foreigner for the above reasons. By the same token, it would be difficult to draft a law banning the burqa. They added that the French government may encounter a veto from the European Court of Human Rights.
وبحسب هؤلاء المحامين فإن عملية الحصول على الجنسية الفرنسية
According to the lawyers, the process of naturalization is vague and has two parts. First, the police will conduct a background check into the applicant's social, political, and moral character. Second, the applicant will undergo an interview with an immigration official at the local office. During the interview, the applicant will be asked very precise and sometimes embarrassing questions regarding his personal life and faith.
يطرح خلالها الأخير أسئلة دقيقة ومحرجة في بعض الأحيان تتعلق بحياة طالب التجنس الشخصية ومعتقداته الدينية.
Commenting on the issue, Prime Minister François Fillon said, "If this man does not want to change his attitude, he has no place in our country. In any case, he does not deserve French nationality."
له الجنسية الفرنسية. يولا زهر الدين BBC.
In much happier news, Israel's critically acclaimed film Ajami was nominated yesterday for an Academy Award in the Best Foreign Language Film category. Following the announcement, the creative team came together for a Tel Aviv press conference, and IBA's Sarah Levine brings us more in this report.
Delivering a rare blend of fiction and reality, Ajami's level of realism extends far beyond the boundaries of the screen. At a press conference in Tel Aviv, following the film's Academy Award nomination announcement, Fouad Khabash, one of the lead actors and himself an Ajami resident, spoke about the project's enormous influence. Ajami suffers from extreme poverty, with 80% of its residents living below the poverty line. The film is bringing worldwide awareness. And now, Khabash says, the neighborhood is raising its head with pride. The movie is reaching the rest of the world with pride. The film itself is at once a painfully intimate foray into a dark, troubled world, and yet it could take place in the streets of any rough neighborhood around the globe. Ajami explores the complicated underworld in the heart of the Arab neighborhood from which the film takes its name, in the coastal city of Yafo, just south of Tel Aviv. Drugs, violence, and poverty complicate the race after money, love, and power. Loyalty and family honor dominate the fabric of life there and dictate decisions at every turn. The story is told through 5 different plot lines, which are all based on true events in the neighborhood and are interwoven into one stunning narrative. In a uniquely authentic twist, most of the film's cast has never had any acting experience or even stood before a camera. The joint Arab-Israeli directing team, comprised by first-time directors Skandar Kopti and Yaron Shani, hired locals from Ajami to play portrayals of their lives on the big screen. Nisreen Siksik, an Ajami resident who plays one of the leading character's mothers, told reporters that she was surprised by the level of recognition the film got. Especially, she says, a film in which the actors didn't know what was going on and didn't understand what it meant to act. And of course, there are some thrills too. The film's cast says they have never before seen so many cameras in their life. This is Sarah Levine for IBA News.
The views expressed on Mosaic are those of the participating broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible with the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs which connect you to the world.